Got a little bit.
Okay. Hi. So I studied shiatsu for a very long time of my life, and actually I begin every massage that I do in the belly. And it's a good thing to get comfortable with the belly and to know it, because it can be an invaluable tool for massage, because when you start to understand the diagnostic areas of the belly, it will give you an insight as to what's happening through the rest of the body, because, right, it's attached. So think about when we massage here, right? You touch legs, you touch arms, you touch pecs, you touch head, you touch the back, you touch the butt, and then this major chunk where all your guts and every muscle and tendon passes through, you totally ignore it. So you kind of miss that opportunity to touch your client's body and start to become comfortable and understand that what is tight in the belly will be tight in the body. You cannot have something being stagnant or tight and it's not going to follow through to the body, because we're connected. So in Chinese medicine, they consider this the most sacred part of the body because of life force beginning through your mother's umbilical cord into the navel. That's why you would never really see a true Oriental or Chinese person. You might see young girls, they would never pierce this because it would be sacrilegious to pierce that sacred spot. Also, every Chinese language probably has a word in their language. They call this belly brain. They consider this to be where the truth of everything you know is in your gut. So again, another really good way to think about your client in a different way. Also, in the West, we believe in a flat belly, right? Everybody goes to the gym, everybody wants a six-pack, everybody sucks it in. Buddha was depicted round with a big belly, not because he was fat. It was a metaphor for abundance. It was a metaphor that he was filled with chi and with life and with everything he had to offer. In Asia, he would be considered a really healthy man. Somebody who has, there are terms for upside down hara, there are terms for inside out hara. So you think about it, if you walk around all day sucking your gut in, you might think, oh yeah, look, flat. But think about what's in there. Every vital organ you own is in there, and you are just putting incredible contraction on it, pushing it, squeezing it. It would make sense that things aren't going to flow because you're pushing contraction to stop. So again, the idea that you have a belly is a good thing. It's a healthy thing. So in shiatsu, you begin by just putting your hands on the belly, and that's it. And this is really intimate. Most people, as you know, don't touch belly, so you really are patient. I would like you to just close your eyes. I want you to just breathe deep into your belly. Think of it as a balloon. Just bring your breath into the belly and then just let it drop. And again, this work isn't about muscling it. It's about, as you'll see when you really start to do good hara work, you'll notice my hara points right to hers, because it is about kind of bringing that together there. Yep. And then through this beautiful belly, you have diagnostic areas. We all know, right rib cage, right liver, gallbladder. In Chinese medicine, and I know it might be a little bit different in the West, right? Spleen is right at the belly button, around the belly button. You have kidney, bladder, and right, I'm going to kind of get close to your pubic bone. Right above the pubic bone is urinary bladder. Above each hip bone, large intestine. Right? If you just, and the thing with when you work the belly, the beautiful thing is you just relax. It isn't anything about hard work, you just relax. And believe it or not, if you start to touch this and feel it, like Jamie is incredibly tight in her lung meridian. Yeah, really tight. So it would be a pretty good guess for me when I would start to work her body. I would think about that. If that she has that tightness there. But believe it or not, by just applying some pressure and asking her to connect to the breath, like I might say, breathe into my hand, and you really allow her belly to shape you. And then when she exhales, you're really going to drop back in there. And it will be amazing to you. Jen was working on me earlier this morning, and when she got to something in me, I said, "You feel how tight that is?" And I said, "Just keep your hand there and just keep encouraging you to breathe and relax." And underneath my hand, my whole belly just like went, and the whole thing relaxed. And she just looked at me, and I said, "You can really start to relax all these organs in the body. And the more you touch them, you really get familiar with it." This is heart diagnostic area. And in Asia, they would actually put an elbow in you. I mean, they sink it right in. The sign of good health, my elbow should be able to probably sink about all the way into her belly. And a tight gut, you can understand why people have indigestion. And when we need antacids, our bellies are like rocks. And really they shouldn't be. There's a difference between having a fit belly and of just squeezing the shit out of yourself, kind of like walking around with contracture all day in your belly. A place that has, this is really your center. Every emotional thing that happens to you kind of settles in here. And it's a great thing to practice abdominal massage, you know, to really work it. You know, Jamie's really muscular. I mean, I can feel her musculature in her gut. But right, if you just, it is amazing when you touch each other, like you can feel them. You can just start to feel. Like there's no way you cannot feel somebody's stomach when you put your hand on it. It's like.
So is it the tightness, when you feel tightness, that's where you kind of focus your...
You know, you can trace the ascending, transverse, descending colon, knowing that the sigmoid is right about here. You can understand that somebody could be constipated instantly the minute you start to touch their gut. Because you can feel the contracture in it. You can start to feel that it's like so tight. I mean, common sense would tell you that things aren't moving in there. You know, you can slide underneath. You can hold Tangdian. Like liver, incredibly tight. Right. Well, remember though, liver, I know you're all thinking, oh, you drink too much, don't you? Could be medication. She could be under a lot of stress. She could be working 3 jobs. She could be pissed off about that. All those feelings. I think what the thing about once you start to touch your belly, you've got to make the understanding that anything that's happening to you is happening in your whole body. So her tight liver could be lots of stuff. Maybe she doesn't sleep enough.
I have a question for you. Could you find that on yourself as well?
You can do ampuku, which is self-massage. You kind of make a soft fist, and then you bend over yourself, and you can you can. I have never had as much success with somebody else doing it to me as I do it to myself. I mean, I can certainly loosen my gut. Yeah, I can loosen my gut, but it certainly is much better for somebody else to do it. All right?
I know it'll help you go to the bathroom, right? Go clockwise.
Yeah, it could, or not. Sometimes when a gut is so tightly held, it takes a really long time.
I think, Joanne, correct me if I'm wrong, because you're a lot more advanced in this. But the meridians, the organs she just mentioned, liver, small intestine, they are all meridians. And each one of those has a physiological function and a psychological. So if there is an imbalance in liver, say a liver is full, jitsu, there's the male, that's the yin, the male correspondent would be empty. And that's what the therapist is trying to
Right, that is so, thank you, because, right, as much as there could be tight, you can all of a sudden get to a place where you could almost feel like you could fall through her. So the idea of balance is if something is empty and something is totally full, there's no balance there. So the idea is by working this, what you're trying to do is you're trying to kind of, before you leave this, think, not that it's going to be super loose and you're going to be like, oh, but just so that it's like, everything feels a little more balanced. Her breath. The class was laughing at me, but I have a book of belly buttons. Right? I always look at everybody's navel because the navel will tell you a lot of things that's going on. Tightness will pull it. Tightness will pull it. Tightness will pull it. So it's always good to check somebody's belly button out and see. It's kind of a diagnostic tool about what is going on.
So it's mostly compression?
It is. Well, I would be using my elbow. I'm not going to do that for you guys though. But yeah, it's compression. And really what it is, more than that, it's connection. She really is guiding me at this point. I'm just kind of listening to her. And the communication between the two of us is her breath, right? So when she breathes, I may bring myself a little closer to her and sink in. And really, can you feel how this is starting to finally soften a little bit? I mean, this started out like a rock. I really couldn't get any response from her, but just from me holding her, I think you can see I'm really starting to be able to push in there, and as you can tell, I've done nothing. She's breathing, and I'm kind of telling her that it's okay to let go in there, in a way.
So it's only exhale that you...
You sink in?
Yeah.
Right. You know, you don't approach the belly by thinking, whatever, I'm just going to do my thing. This is really sensitive, delicate, intimate work.
And is there an area that you have to be a little bit more...
I'm not that kind of a person. I'm kind of like him. I don't really give a shit if it hurts.
Oh, okay.
To that degree. You know, I'm not going to allow your comfort level to dictate to me. I'm going to allow what I need to do to you dictate to me. Obviously, I have respect for your comfort level, but I will walk right up to it. And, I'll walk right up to it.
It's a different type of
It's really different.
thought. There's two ways of doing that. And the one is the way Joanne just explained.
And then, of course, the way Amy taught us this morning was totally, which
But
is all
as
right.
far as the pain threshold, there's a school, different types of shiatsu schools they will not go, if you have an area, say that is tender, they will not even address it, they will bypass it.
Right, but in Ohashi, I mean,
You do it.
I would be having my elbow here.
Now guys, what Joanne is doing, some of you might be thinking, well, when would I be able to do this in my sequence?
Depending on the client, depending on the relationship you have with the client, that normally dictates if you will or won't be doing this. Because the belly is so sacred, there needs to be a rapport with the client. Some people will not let you touch their belly, and you need to build that connection. And then, once you build it, for them to allow you to drop in, takes a lot of communication. So, it's not the normal Swedish session, but very, very productive.
Yeah.
So productive.
It can really
It's such a
make somebody
shame.
feel better.
It's such a shame that we don't.
It is a shame. I massage every client's belly. Somehow I find a way to get in there and talk to them about it. Like if they're uptight, I talk about it. I may not. I may throw a sheet over them so that they actually don't feel my skin on top of their skin, to kind of make them feel a little safer.
And when do you initiate that part of the
I usually
massage?
start out there,
Okay.
unless something else is. I either start out in the feet or in the belly, either or. Depends what's going on. But I always go to the belly. And I would have to say, people now say to me, don't forget my tummy. Like people will always ask me now, because once you're introduced to it, it becomes something that it's like, oh yeah, because you see the difference that it can make.
So, with pregnancy, you would not be
Oh, softer, huh?
dropping in to these points, but having, thank you, Joanne,
Thank you.
Thank you.
having the
Thank you.